of presidents, John F. Kennedy and William Howard Taft, along with secretaries of state, astronauts, admirals, generals, and Medal of Honor recipients. The first African-American to serve on the Supreme Court, Thurgood Marshall, and civil rights activist Medgar Evers are both buried at Arlington. With them are Americans from all walks of life who served, many of them dying in combat. Presidents, as you see here, have visited Arlington's peaceful rolling hills to mark solemn occasions like Memorial Day and Veterans Day, to attend funerals and dedicate memorials, and in quiet moments, walking among the graves. One could imagine that Arlington has become a place of reflection for commanders-in-chief who alone bear the responsibility of sending our troops into harm's way. And each president has been careful to keep partisan politics outside of its hallowed gates, except one. This week, Donald Trump visited Arlington not as a former president, but as a presidential candidate, 3 years after the anniversary of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The Trump campaign filmed video in Section 60 of Arlington, a heavily restricted area where fallen veterans of the conflicts in Iran and Afghanistan are buried. An Army spokesperson confirmed to NBC News that the Trump campaign knew that they were not allowed to film there. The participants in the remembrance ceremony had been made aware of federal laws, Army regulations, and DoD policies, which clearly prohibit political activities on cemetery grounds, end quote. Federal law. A statement from Arlington National Cemetery, which never names Trump but is clearly about Trump, states, quote, federal law prohibits political campaigns or election-related activities within Army national military cemeteries to include photographers, content creators, or any other persons attending for purposes or in direct support of a partisan political candidate's campaign, end quote. Gets worse. Defense officials confirmed to NBC News that an Arlington employee was pushed by a Trump staffer during an incident on Monday. An Army spokesperson confirms the incident, saying military police were called, but the Arlington employee decided not to press charges. The New York Times reports that military officials said the woman feared Mr. Trump's supporters pursuing retaliation. And if you're wondering, yes, assaulting a federal employee can be prosecuted as a felony. But meanwhile, Trump's campaign told NPR the Arlington employee in question was, quote, suffering from a mental health episode, end quote. Another Trump aide called her despicable. What the hell is the matter with these people? This happened among the graves of American veterans killed in combat. And despite the fact that Trump's campaign called this, quote, a very solemn ceremony, end quote, they've turned their illegal video into campaign content on social media. America's only convicted criminal president broke the law again, this time to steal the valor of the brave Americans who have been buried there for 160 years. Someone in the campaign physically pushed an employee attempting to enforce the law, and the Trump team tried to assassinate her character in the national media. She is justifiably afraid of retaliation. This employee had the United States military to come to her defense, but if Trump returns to power, what happens the next time? In a recent attempt to attack the veteran Tim Walz, the Trump campaign threw around the phrase, you'll remember this, stolen valor. Donald Trump avoided military service due to bone spurs. Donald Trump once told Howard Stern that avoiding STDs was, quote, his personal Vietnam. Donald Trump is said to have called those who died in service of this nation suckers and losers. Does the Trump campaign really want to have an argument about stolen valor? Joining us now is Ruth Ben-Ghiat, history